I'm doing well today. The topic of this one here tonight, when being right is no longer enough. Where are we going with this one? Where's this ride taking us? Well, one of the things that I receive a lot from students all around the world and comes up quite frequently is how to know when to take that leap of faith to start trading with live funds or a funded account. And while I don't have a definitive, this is how you know, it's more closely to the title of this Twitter space. When when you're able to read price action and you can see it and anticipate it and know what's likely to occur next, and it happens most times, and you're doing it consistently, you're not impulsively going into the charts and trying to pick the next fluctuation just because you're bored. It's when you're no longer influenced about pursuing being right. But that line that divides that, where you no longer are satisfied with being right. So when you're no longer chasing that, I need to be right, I need to be right, it's just happening by default. That is my opinion, the clearest indication that you're probably prepared, at least the earliest stages of it. As soon as you start trading with funds or even a funded account, I'm sure you're going to have that magical experience where suddenly it really matters now. It matters if you're right. And then you start that whole process all over again, desensitizing yourself to the pursuit of being right. Now, right is all right, I guess. Wrong is not necessarily bad, meaning that you can get into a trade, you can get into an investment idea, a setup, everything look like it's lining up for you. And as soon as you enter the trade, something just doesn't feel right. You give it a little bit of time, and then finally, you see enough to know that what you're looking at is not a viable setup anymore. And you do what is appropriate. You abort the trade. You turn it off, close it, it's done. Whatever loss, whatever result, you accept it. That's being wrong. But that's not being wrong in a bad way. It's being right about being wrong. And many of you, like me and everyone else that's come up in this industry, in the beginning, when you're trying to do your analysis, you want your analysis to be right because you think that right is always profitable. No. Think about how many times you were right about the direction, but got shaken out, stopped out, right about the trade idea, but didn't push the button. So you can be right and be wrong. So it's a matter of perspective. It's not a pursuit for you or me or anyone else that's in this industry try to tell the future with these candlesticks. It's not our endeavor to be right. Our endeavor is to be consistent, doing the same things that's been measured, studied, and has shown to provide a probability that usually ends up in what the past has shown, but that's not indicative of the future. That's that gray area. And you have to embrace not being right all the time and being right enough. But there's a time when you get consistent with your outlook on the marketplace, your timing, your selection, bias, all those things that they come in alignment. And when you no longer have any real concern, not that you are numb to it, because that's a totally different thing. But you're indifferent to it. Obviously, everyone wants to see the outcome be favorable for them. But there's this state of mind that you're going to reach, and you really won't know what this feels like until you finally get there. And I'll talk about how you get there in a few minutes. But for now, the way I identify it is when you have a trade idea that you've engaged, you're in the trade now. The market's moving around, and you are absolutely disconnected in terms of emotion or needing it to be right. And equally so, you're not worried, you're not concerned if you get stopped out. The second one I'm going to talk about first. The reason why you wouldn't be concerned about being stopped out is because you know, if you've been doing the back testing, studying, watching real-time price action with me, you can see that these things are predictable. They're based on time delivery. And these structures that come into the marketplace that present our opportunities, and it may not be an opportunity that you have identified yet. You haven't found your model, but that's okay. You'll find it. It'll come to you. But you don't worry about that outcome being unfavorable because you know that one transaction, that one idea that you're placing a laboratory experiment around, which is a speculation that you're looking for a displacement in price from where it is right now and where you believe it's going to go, and limiting how far it can move against you. So that stop out, if it happens, you're not worrying about it. In fact, you're completely indifferent to it. Meaning, if it does stop out, no big deal. If it runs to your target, no big deal. It's just one transaction. It's one thing that you're doing right now that absolutely has no power over removing you from your entire career. Let's flip the script now. As much as we are not concerned about losing, having a bad result, being stopped out, we're not worrying about being right. We're not worrying about it going to our profit target. We're not worrying about doing a full pull. A full pull is whatever size position you build up, you take all of it off at your target, and that's it. It's all or nothing. And while you're learning, it's important not to have that mindset. No matter who tells you otherwise, it's important for you to reward yourself incrementally. Over time, you'll know when the trades are really in your favor to do full pulls where you don't take any partials. You're just managing the trade with a stop loss. But that takes time. It also takes time getting past the point of needing to be right. Because right doesn't equate to being profitable. It's an impossibility because, if you buy and it goes up, you should have made money, right? But you know that that doesn't always work like that. You get shaken out of it, scared or stop loss, hit. But you're right. Remember? It went where you thought it was going to go. And when you're no longer looking at those moves where you were correct and where you thought the market was going to go, you had the draw and liquidity correct, the bias was correct. You knew where it was going to react to. Didn't line up perfectly, whether you were just a little late getting in or a little too early and getting stopped out and then too afraid to get back in. Whatever the factors are, when you are no longer worried about or concerned about being right about that trade, you have now the mindset it's needed really to do live trading with live funds, whether it be funded or your real money. But no one's going to be able to, and I can't do this for you, but no one is going to be able to tell you the proper timing for you to take that risk on. And it is a risk. But you need to have that desensitized state of mind where you're not holding yourself to a scorecard of how many times I can be right, how many times can I avoid being wrong. And many of you, and I went through this too, you're keeping score on your emotional commitment to a trade. Now think about that. You're measuring your emotional commitment to every trade you're putting on right now when you're new. What separates the trader that thinks like that from someone that's consistently profitable? They're not holding their entire career up by the results of that one transaction. They're not leveraging so much that even if it doesn't pan out, it is insignificant in the grand scheme of things. That one thing, that one transaction, that one idea, that one decision didn't materialize in a manner that was favorable for you. But you're not worried about being right. That state of mind is what I'm getting at with this particular podcast or Twitter space. When being right is no longer enough. See, right now in the beginning, everybody wants to be right. That's your scorecard. How many times can you be right in public? How many times can you be right in your private demo trading or tape reading? And you're building this idea, if you're doing it like this, you're building this idea of reporting to yourself as a scorecard or a report card on the basis of how many times you're right. When you make decisions in the average everyday life, the things that you want to see happen for you sometimes doesn't pan out like that. Something happens, traffic keeps you from getting into work on time. It wasn't your fault. You made the decision, though, to leave when you did, but you didn't know that traffic jam was going to tie you up. And then you may have some kind of repercussion at work. You were heading to work, you had good intentions, you were right about doing that, but you didn't get there on time. So you missed the mark. That's no different with trading. You're going to get up, you're going to start your day, open your charts up, you're going to have a game plan, you're going to wait for the market to do specific things to line up a setup for you, and you're going to push a button. And once that button is pushed and you're in there, all control has been removed from you. The only thing you can control is the risk and how much time you stay in that trade. Everything else is out of your control. And it's interesting as a psychological experiment that all of you have the opportunity to measure yourself in. When you learn how to do what I'm teaching, it at some point becomes easy to do it in demo. You get confident that you can do it consistently. Some time in the future for you, you'll decide when being right is no longer enough. You'll want to trade. You'll want to do a funded account, or you'll want to speculate with your own live funds. And when you push the button, then you don't have that blank void of, if I'm wrong, I don't lose anything. Now you have, I got to be right. Because if I'm not right, I lose money. And now where's your mind focusing? You're worrying about the risk too much. There's a great deal of acceptance that's required for us to do this with real money. And that risk is unfortunately something you need to embrace. You can't shy away from it, because if you are shy to risk, you can't do this in live funds. And a lot of people discover that they can't do it without going through some kind of growing pains. And some of that is very long and arduous. It's just daunting. to get through for some of you. But you have to be prepared for that being the case for you, because you're wrestling with wanting to be right again and not have that feeling of, if I'm wrong, it doesn't hurt. That's the reason why we teach to be completely bored. You shouldn't be excited about it. If it goes to your target, okay. I mean, are you going to work every day thinking, man, look at this? I got here again on time and I get to spend all these hours again for the man. I hope he appreciates me. No, of course not. It's just something that you do. It's a routine. But you need to make your trading just like that. And the only way you can get it like that is by completely liking yourself to the outcome, making it all about, am I following the rule? Am I following the protocol? Am I managing risk impeccably? Are you doing everything to preserve capital first and foremost? Because if you're doing that and your model is rooted in sound logic and things that I've been teaching and proving that exist in price action live, you have the best opportunity for you to submit to that process. And over time, this is why it's important, if you ever make the step or leap of faith into trading with a funded account or live funds in your own brokerage account, you start with a very, very insignificant amount of money. And you go through that whole process again of desensitizing yourself. Don't make it about, I got to make a 5-figure withdrawal. I got to make $1,000 withdrawal. If you start putting time limits on your goals in something like this industry, it makes you impulsive. It ushers in fear of missing out and plain old fashioned fear. You foster performance anxiety and you don't realize it's going on, but you're doing it to yourself. So the reason why I teach the way I do is it gives you the best probability of finding yourself in that sweet spot mentally where you don't care what the outcome is going to be. You know what you're doing is rule based. This is what time the market should be doing this. This is where the market should be gravitating towards, and this is the draw on liquidity. I'm submitting to that idea when I'm looking at the charts, and I'm waiting for something to be a catalyst that I've been studying for months and did back testing on. I see it, it makes perfect sense to me, and I know where to place my stop. I know when I would move my stop. I know when I'm going to take my first and second and third, if it's possible, partial. I'm also looking for the things that would negate the idea. What kills the trade idea? These are all things that you have to have understood. Just because you have been consistent here and there with demo, don't think that you are prepared to trade with a funded account or live funds. You're not. You have to be completely bored of the outcome. It's the same thing. You're doing the same thing over and over again. There's going to be a state of impatience because you'll get to this consistency stage where you can do demos and you're able to find it and do well with it. Very little drawdown. It goes to your targets and you're done. And you start forming these disciplined ideas about how many times you're going to trade per day or session, and then you're going to stop. No matter how good you feel like you're on the side of the marketplace, no matter how dialed in you feel, it's time to close and get up from the table, take your chips, cash them in, and come back tomorrow. But that's very hard because being right is addictive. Being right is what everybody wants to experience all the time. And they want to feel that consistently too soon. It's something you can't obtain quickly. You have to go through a process of submitting to back testing, studying old moves, tape reading, then demo trading. And all of that requires a great deal of patience that most of you don't have. I got patience, ICT. I was reading some of the comments before I started this Twitter space, and some of them were saying, I just started trading using what I learned from your 2022 mentorship. I just finished the last videos, and I'm going for my funded account next week. You're not ready. I don't want to take away your passion or your drive, but I do want to be a voice of reason. You are not ready. You're not. So when I talk to you and I try to give you these discussions, it's meant for you to take them under advisement. So that way it gives you the proper mindset, because without the proper mindset, it doesn't matter what my tools are suggesting in the charts. You'll do something incorrectly with it. And you may not have the discipline or the maturity to identify it as your personal weakness and not that these concepts are failing. In the beginning, it's going to be easy for you when you don't do something right. Oh, it's this that happened to me. It's that happened to me. It's because he didn't give me a clear idea how to use this. Well, if that's true, you should not have been taking any trades with it. You have to be completely 100% responsible. That's what a trader that's consistently profitable is. They own everything they do, the bad and the good, and they're not influenced by anything outside of them, whether it be another influencer online, another trader, somebody out there that seems to be doing better than you. And you'll develop these little mental challenges that you can be right more than someone else. And then your trading becomes a pursuit of, again, what? Being right. When being right is not what we're trying to do. It's a derivative of doing the right things, but our reasoning or the catalyst for us getting in the trade is not on the basis of being able to say, I'm right. I'm going to say that again so that way you understand what I'm referring to, because it's easy to hear it and go in one ear out the other. When we start trading, even in demo, more so when you're trading with live funds, you are pursuing the pleasure, the stimuli that comes with being right, that feel good hormone that gets released. It reminds you that if this was real, you'd made that much money. And you don't want to go into your development with that mindset, because you're pursuing the end result being on the basis of you being right. And if your focus is always about being right and not the process, what are you really doing? You're teaching yourself to adhere to something on the basis of win or fail. And now you've elevated the outcome to a level of critical. It's critical for you to be right, because you won't be prepared mentally to accept the fact that that one didn't work. And every single time I blew an account, it started right then, right at that moment where I had a trade idea, I put the trade on, it looked good, and then ultimately ran against me on my stop. Okay. When I first was learning, it felt like the weight of the world was coming down on me. It felt like I'm afraid to take the next trade because that one didn't work out for me. And the number one reason why you're fearing to take the next trade after a losing trade is because you're wrestling with the impulsiveness to want to trade with a larger size, and your conscience is telling you, don't do it. And you need to listen to it. Don't. In fact, it's better for you, if you're new, to just completely stop for the day. Give yourself time to process that incorrect trade result. So that way you can desensitize yourself from the pursuit of being right. Because if you're trying to do your trades with the goal in mind that I'm going to be right, it's going to go to my target, it's going to go where I said it was going to go, versus I'm trading this model, I'm trading with this approach, and I'm submitting myself to this very thing here. Nothing else. I'm not bringing anything else into it. I'm not letting anyone else influence my following of this logic. Come hell or high water, whatever the results are, I'm going to log it, and then I'm going to follow that model again when the setup forms it again, whether it be later today or another day. And you will find that you will get to this point where no longer are you pursuing being right because it's no longer enough. It's not going to be satisfying for you to just be right. You're going to be looking to do what? Be more precise, more accurate, less drawdown, less heat on your trades when you put them on, more confident to hold for not your first scale out profit. Your first profit now would be your typical second partial. That's how you graduate into that point of holding for a full pull. You just can't quit cold turkey and say, okay, I'm not going to do any partials anymore. I'm just going to go straight in and get all my targets. And then what happens is, invariably, you're going to have trades where this is for you, um, Pat. I watch your streams and I hear how you wrestle with you when you want to put a runner on, and you're met with this, and the way you overcome and get over it and power through it is you don't worry about the result. Okay, when you're live streaming, you're talking about what you endured and you're amplifying that. And it may be entertaining, it may be for you to discharge it, vent, and you think you're releasing it, but your subconscious is holding on to it. And once that happens and it's anchored to your subconscious, it'll have an impact on your next trade. You'll see the trade, you think, okay, I'm going to hold for that 20 handle run. But what happens is when you get to that first 5 or 10, that little voice inside you says, remember when we held for this the last time? Do you remember what it felt like when it didn't let us get our full target, but we had 19 handles? We didn't get to 20. Right now you have 10. And you're going to be thinking, like a deer in headlights, what do I do? What do I do? Because if I'm wrong by not getting out right now, I'm going to regret that. It's going to be more remorse. But if I hold and it moves to my profit objective, then I'm right. I'm right. Damn it, I'm right. I did what I was supposed to do. It went to my target. I'm done. I did it. I slayed it. But even if it gets to that target, you're going to be remembering how painful it was to hold on to that. Because back at the first stage of you feeling that internal voice, that conscience talking to you saying, I'm a little uncomfortable right now. I'm afraid it's going to turn on me. You know what the easiest solution is right there? It's the easiest thing in the world, but you're not going to want to do it. It's going to feel like the most asinine thing to be doing at that moment. Because everybody out there that's not profitable, that doesn't show themselves executing trades, but they want to give people advice. Can't call anything live, but they want to give you advice. They'll say, you have to push your edge. You have to stick to convictions. It's your target or nothing. What I'm saying is when you get that point in a trade where you're feeling the weight of it. Oh, do I hold? What do I do? You know, what should I move my stop loss? When you start worrying If you start feeling uncomfortable and it feels like you're juggling. Do I close it? Do I hold it? Do I move my stop? Do I move my stop back? Did I move it too soon? As soon as your mind enters that, at that very moment, you have lost the plot. You must take half the trade off. But Michael, what if your self doubt isn't a bad thing? It's just the fact that you have grown in your understanding and your experience and you've been here before. And the trader in you is trying to listen to the analyst that's warning you, hey, we're in troubled waters right now. Yeah, it could go to our target. It could do that. But protocol says this is what we do. Standard operating procedure. SOPs, okay? Standard operating procedure says when the shit starts to get deep, take something off. How much ICT? Half. You're divorcing the trade, but you're getting something out of it. A runner's still there, but you're getting half off. Now you've banked half. If it comes back against you and stopped you out at your trailed stop loss, or if you were fickle about doing anything, just keeping your stop at original, it won't take you to a loss. You're not worrying about it. But if you wrestle with that and you're in that troubled water area where you're thinking about being right, you have lost the plot about the trade. You don't know you won't be able to realign yourself. And anybody that says, well, you can just, take a step out, get a cigarette break, go get a shot of liquid courage, go to the gym and just submit to it, see whatever happens. What's going to happen is you're going to stress. And that stressful endeavor that you're placing yourself through, you're teaching yourself to be fearful. And it's unnecessary. You don't need to do that. The way you master yourself, the way you conquer yourself and wrangle in these concerns about being right, you remove risk because that's the underlying thing. See, it's not a matter of can it get to my target? Of course it could. It could go way beyond what you were targeting. And it could come back on your stop. And it could just consolidate where it's at. All those things are possible. But when the mind starts getting bogged down with the concerns of needing to be right, because you will punish yourself mentally if you do anything that leads to either stopped out or not getting to target. Because at that moment, here's what you don't realize, and this is what you need to be writing down in your journal. As soon as you get to that point where you're in troubled waters, and you're now taking more attention to what do I do? What do I do? If you're asking yourself, what do I do? And it's becoming physical, like your breathing increases, the rate of your inhalations. Maybe you're getting heart palpitations, feeling dizzy, feeling anxious, feeling nervous. The answer to that is take half off. And what that does, it allows your mind to reset. You've paid yourself. Who cares if it comes back and stops you out? Who cares if it fails to get to your target? You paid yourself. The analyst is inside of you, maybe picking up on things that you've learned, but you're not registering that because you're not able to see growth like that initially until you go through these experiments of putting the task, submitting to the process, and then getting out there and seeing how you deal with it. And the analyst inside of you that's seen these things before is trying to tell you, hey, you're not ready for this. It might go there. Yes, it might go to your full target. Absolutely. But right now, here's the standard operating procedure. As soon as we start getting nervous and we lose sight of the plot, the way we regain that clarity, take half of the position off. Okay, Michael, what happens if I am only holding one contract and there's no way for me to take a partial off? You close the trade. That's it. But what if it turns against you? How are you going to deal with that? You're going to beat yourself up. You know you will. And to sit here and lie and say that you wouldn't, you're fooling no one. First and foremost, you're not fooling yourself. You have to guard your mind. You have to preserve that clarity. Once you gain it and you desensitize yourself to the outcome, you're not pursuing right. You're pursuing following your model. Those rules, if they're sound in their logic, they will preserve you if you're able to listen to the analyst in you. But if that analyst is trying to warn you, listen, buddy, you got out of the chair and the gambler has slip seated with you. You think you're driving, but you're not. You're riding shotgun with Retail Rick. And he's had a little too much to drink on St. Patty's Day. And it looks like he's aiming for the next fucking tree. So what are you going to do? Ask for the keys. You got to take that wheel back. How does that happen? Take half the trade off. And if you can't take a half, then you close the trade. And then you congratulate yourself. You give yourself positive self-talk that you identified that you were in troubled waters. You lost sight of what you were doing. And now it became an emotional roller coaster, which turns into a psychological wrestling match with you being and pursuing right. I was right. And what will happen is when you close the trade or take half off, one of two things are going to happen. It's going to stop you out and you'll feel what? Good. You'll feel good that you did that. But some of you won't feel good about that because you'll be thinking, I should have took everything off and I would have had a bigger profit. What are you doing there? Pursuing being right. Instead of saying, I took half off, it came back and stopped me out on the remaining portion, whether it was at break even or in profit, matters not. You're going to go to the calculator and say, this is what I had on the trade right when I felt like that. I should have did this. That's not how you grow. Poison your perspective. You create and foster anxiety, performance anxiety specifically, because you're measuring every decision and placing so much emphasis on the outcome and it needing to be right. You don't realize you're putting yourself in this mental prison. You can't work efficiently in these markets where you're constantly placing so many limitations on you, placing all this unnecessary weight on your shoulders that you have to be right all the time. You don't have to be right. You don't have to be right. You have to follow a sound model and stick to that. And as a derivative, a default, as a consequence to doing that, you will see results. And those results need to be completely detached from emotion or psychological need, the necessity to be right. And it sounds hard. It sounds almost impossible right now, especially if you're new. But those of you that have gone through these experiences because you've traded with real money or funded account, and you got out there and you realized you knew exactly what you were feeling. It was a reminder that you did this too soon. But hey, we're here now. We are here. We showed up. Now we're going to show out. And unfortunately, you end up losing your funded account or you blow your account because you'll let that one losing trade do what? Take you completely out of the game. Now you have to do something bigger, much more monumental because you have to get a feel-good moment. And you'll over leverage on the next trade, or you won't have a stop loss on because you want to be right. And you lose all clarity and you think that what you're doing in that next trade is going to pan out. You just have to submit to more drawdown, more time holding on to it. And what is happening is this: you are now holding on to a losing trade that you will not identify as, but you're going to be using the logic of your model, which is hold on to your runner. But because you took your eye off of the process of following that model, you're now applying part of the logic that you're using in trading, but you're holding on to the losing trade. You're submitting yourself to that trade, even though it's warning you and telling you, the analyst is talking to you, this is wrong. You know it's wrong, but you won't close it because you're not trading for profit now. You're trading for being right. You are arm wrestling the marketplace. That's what you're doing. You want to be smart in the eyes of someone else that you're going to share this with. And you're absolutely undermining yourself. And when you do more damage or blow the account, blow the funded account, your max loss day or whatever it is that takes you out of that, you will be miserable. You'll punish yourself. You'll relive those moments over and over again. And I can relive them all when I was 20, just like it happened yesterday. No one's going to be as hard as you are on yourself. You just aren't making it public knowledge to most of everyone that would be paying attention to you. Now, some of you make that mistake and you go on social media. Oh, this is hard. I'm always screwing up. You're inviting more people to confirm what you're feeling, which is going to do what? Anchor more weight to that negative result, which is going to do what? Create fear, anxiety, depression. And that's not how you grow. You have to know that what you're doing is not a pursuit of being right. In the moment, the very moment that you now have these impulses,